Hi guys, my name is Andrew Zeleno. I'm a professional audio engineer with more than 10 years of experience in professional field. In the last 5 years I have absolutely game-changing mixing course. So today we're gonna have awesome video. We're gonna talk about, it's called Sonarworks Reference 4. And what's cool about this, I'm really skeptical. You're gonna learn a lot of important things you never heard from anybody else on the internet. So if this thing convinces me that it really works, it would be just absolutely amazing for everybody to correct their studio rooms and monitors. Just to show you the level of my course, I'm gonna put a link in the description box, and first link from that list gonna be a super amazing video how I check homework from my real students, and they gonna be competing with professional audio engineers, so you're gonna hear their mix, top professional mix, and I gonna improve their mix in real time, checking all their settings. So this video is just super awesome. Just click it right now, finish this video and go back to that video to check it. And don't miss it, because it can be just really important thing for you, and a lot of people can prove it's just game-changing course for everybody. So in this video you're gonna watch next different options, subwoofers and all this stuff with this thing basically. So this thing compensates what your monitors don't show you. Foam behind the monitor, saying like it prevents reflections behind the monitor. Honestly, there is a lot of bullshit on the internet. I realized this boost was totally awful, because my sub bass starts to be just crazy. It's a new interface, because it's new release, nobody's seen it yet, so it's like exclusive thing. Honestly, it's not like that. First of all, 80% of correction, what this thing does, is for your monitors. You hear first of all direct signal, it takes only up to 3 milliseconds, so it's almost instantly in your ear. What I like about this company, they never claimed like you don't need to correct your room, just use this thing. I definitely didn't notice in my white monitors those problems with low end. Mixed by Chris Lordelji, one of the greatest audio engineers in the history. Let's be brave and kind of compare side by side these two mixes.
Waves, UAD, what you doing? My mixes are not for you to ruin. She fills my bed with gasoline. Waves, UAD, what you doing? My mixes are not for you to ruin.
Why I didn't recognize this problem in the first place? My white monitor staying just next to the wall. Definitely can say it's not perfect technology. I have this risk, I say some things, people hate what I say, they dislike my videos. If you don't like it, anyway do review and we're gonna appreciate it anyway. So I was absolutely amazed with their response. So it always should be directed to the middle point between monitors. Also, what about preamplifiers? As you can see right now I use Neve 1073. Just imagine the most known and the most classic monitors in the history, Yamaha NS10, old version, right? From 70s. It's not flat at all. Later I checked 2 projects and I was blown away that I really guessed those numbers. It was -13 on fader with this thing as well, and I also decided not to boost low frequencies on my equalizer. We never get perfect sound, right? But nobody prohibited to try. So we audio engineers, we're trying to find the best perfect sound. We're gonna have -2 plus -3 equals -5. It means they gonna hear like lack of 150. That's why a lot of people not agree on audio quality. So sometimes having imperfect curves is even good thing. Actually, you can use both theories at the same time. This is what I found and invented for myself. Listen to the reference track, listen to the vocal, and ask yourself how this vocal sounds. If it sounds transparent, so when I use reference 4 plugin, I really can't recognize those problems. Those of you who check this test right now, I can tell you if your monitoring system shows you boxiness and muddiness or not. Okay, what's the point for you to have this thing if you have subwoofers, monitors? The purpose of mastering engineer is to check your mixes on many different monitoring systems. I mean, nobody forces you to decide just to use headphones or just to use headphones with this plugin. You can go in 2 ways. Crazy expensive headphones HD800. Because my hi-hat in this case, as you can see, if your mix more or less great, sometimes master equalizer can really shift your phase. Honestly, there is a lot of bullshit on the internet. I understand a lot of people have their own vision, nothing wrong with that. Recently I watched some video and people say how to put foam on walls, you know, to correct your reflections, bass traps in corners, and they put foam behind the monitor, saying like it prevents reflections behind the monitor. But it's crazy because monitor mostly sends low frequencies behind themselves, and those low frequencies cannot be stopped by just some piece of foam, you know, like 3-inch foam. So it's really bullshit. But comment section full of like, oh my god, thanks a lot. It's pretty bad because a lot of people can use ideas which never work, and they're gonna spend like 10 years until they finally realize something doesn't work from what they learned. So we really should fight with all this bullshit on the internet, I believe. But this guy saying they graduated with some degree from university about some acoustics, you know, so this is what happens. Also, recently I've seen some review on this thing. What guy says in this video, it corrects room response. So these guys from Sonarworks asked me to do this review. I really appreciate they're honest. It's really good guys. I mean, you definitely can trust them. They definitely have really nice support. And I told them, you know what, there is a chance I'm not gonna like it, because I'm pretty skeptical, I have really trained ear, I have really a lot of monitors, you see only one of my monitor, but I have 3 pairs of basically of monitors, plus Sub Woofer, I have studio control, you don't see it too much because it's a new room, I'm still in process of making it, but I have soft wall behind me, a lot of traps, I have bass trap hidden in the wall over there, so definitely I said I can be really skeptical, so what I should do, like saying something like buy it but I don't like it, or I should lie. As viewers of my channel know, I never lie, I try to be the most honest, and like if even something controversial, I have this risk, I say some things, people hate what I say, they dislike my videos, but I really want to say everything honest what I think about it. So the thing is, they said, you know what, if you don't like it, if you have your own things, anyway do review and we're gonna appreciate it anyway. So I was absolutely amazed with their response. I said, definitely, I'm gonna check it out. First of all, don't be fooled. I've seen a couple of reviews on this thing already, and guys in those videos say it corrects your kind of acoustics of your studio. Honestly, it's not like that. First of all, 80% of correction, what this thing does, is for your monitors. Monitors never have flat curves. I've seen a couple of videos lately when people say they blindly believe like monitors are totally flat, and if this thing shows some kind of gaps and boosts, it's basically what room does to your monitors. It's not the fault of your monitors. But the truth is, actually it's all about monitors first of all. Why? Because monitors is a direct signal. When you sit in this sweet spot of audio engineer, you hear first of all direct signal. It takes only up to 3 milliseconds, so it's almost instantly in your ear. Those reflections, if you have relatively not too small room, like more or less normal room, right? You're gonna have at least like, let's say 2 meters to the wall and 2 meters back from this wall, and it will be first reflection point, for example. So how many meters I said? 2 to the wall and 2 meters back to your ear. How many meters? 4 meters. 4 meters, it will be up to 12 milliseconds. You anyway gonna hear sound from your monitor after 3 milliseconds, and reflections gonna come to your ear only after 12 milliseconds. So 12 minus 3 equals 9 milliseconds. So you have pretty great chance to hear transients of, let's say, drum hits almost with no coloration of your room. And it's only reflection, first early reflection. But what about 6th, 7th early reflection, which passes longer distances? What about late reflections of your room, which passes much longer distances and only then come back to your ear? Plus, what about volume? Do you think reflections from wall really as loud as your monitors? Your monitors much louder, because they're really directed to you. When audio waveform goes to the wall, it wraps molecules of air and loses its energy and some frequencies. Also it bounces from the wall, and this wall absorbs some energy of this reflection as well. You gonna hear those reflections much quieter comparing to direct signal from your monitor. So your monitors anyway gonna give you the maximum influence of your sound. So what this thing actually really do, it corrects your curve. Do you think all monitors are perfect, like really with flat lines? You can right now type in Google search something like frequency curve of studio monitors, And you can see a lot of different examples with some boosts, with some gaps. It can boost some frequencies. Of course, it reacts on your room. If your room, let's say, based on parallel walls, you're gonna have some build up in some points because of standing waves. Definitely you're gonna hear, depending on where you are staying in your room, it can be some frequencies exaggerated or opposite gap, because one waveform cancel itself reflected from the wall, because they kind of going from wall to wall, from wall to wall, back and forth, so you're gonna have standing waves. What I like about this company, they never claimed like you don't need to correct your room, just use this thing. They actually really recommend to use some absorption, you know, as much as you can do in your room. So we really appreciate their honest. So now I'm gonna show you one example. Recently I uploaded a video about how to work with SSL compressors, and I showed different kind of behaviors of different compressors. I even showed waveform, like how every type of plugin, from Waves, from Universal Audio, from Softube, Console 1 controller, as you can see I have over here, they all sound different, and I showed really what's the difference with audio waveforms, like really counted those waveforms. So it's really interesting video, and for that video I used song. I just wrote this song for fun, you know. I even wrote some like funny lyrics about Universal Audio and Waves, how they kind of trying to kill my mixes and all that stuff. This time I decided not to go with rock music, but I decided to write some electronic music this time. Sometimes when you check something, coincidentally something can be sounding okay by itself. And I wrote some song, and I just used some specific sample of a kick drum, and this kick drum just sounded great with everything. In this room, with no acoustic treatment, with acoustic treatment, with this correction or without correction, everything was okay, because this kick was pretty short, it didn't have too much sub-frequencies, and I just decided not to go in this way. I tried to find some really problematic mix of mine.
Waves, you ready? What you doing? My mixes are not for you to ruin. How many decibels to allow myself? Seriously, lyrics came out, not to laugh about. Waves, you ready? What you doing? My mixes are not for you to ruin. How many decibels to allow myself? Seriously, lyrics came out, not to laugh about.
Definitely serious lyrics came out, right? The problem is I never tried to mix this song like properly, you know. It was like pre-mixing, fast mixing, and I just wanted to show like waveforms. Imperfection of those plugin emulations was checked in that video. Working a lot with projects of my students, working on my own, I experiment a lot, so I came back to this project just to check what I exactly did. I was interested to revisit my project. I realized I did crazy thing with low end. You know, my low end was just too awful. I definitely didn't notice in my white monitors those problems with low end. I thought it's enough low end, I thought it's proper level of this bass. It was crazy humming and crazy boomy low end. Who knows if you're gonna really hear it right now or not, because it depends on if you really have great monitoring system watching this video or not. But let me show you with the reference track. Reference track, it's a Santa Monica song mixed by Chris Lord-Elgey. One of the greatest audio engineers in the history of music production. So his mix is really unbeatable because it has right balance between lows, mids and highs. It sounds bright but not harsh. It sounds warm but not muddy. It sounds colorated, saturated, but it doesn't sound too dirty. You know, so it's really nice mix, and it's really kind of difficult to compete with this. Let's be brave and kind of compare side by side these two mixes. So Santa Monica track.
She fills my bed with gasoline. You think I wouldn't notice? Her mind's made up.
Our track.
Waves, you ready? What you doing? My mixes are not for you to ruin. How many decibels to allow myself to
Listen to low frequencies. Santa Monica.
She fills my bed with gasoline. You think I won't?
Our mix.
Waves, you ready? What you doing? My mixes are not for you to ruin. How many decibels to allow my...
So, you know, it's just too humming bass. First of all, it's really boomy. It sounds like really low. Secondly, it's like too loud, crazy loud. In this project, I have two basses. They work with each other. First bass, as you can see, just put one note. And after that, we have like more electronic type of bass, which is more or less fine. And I use like sub note, one sub note in the beginning of each bar. So it's just overwhelming in this case. Why I didn't recognize this problem in the first place? My white monitor staying just next to the wall. It will not be proper listening of low frequencies, because low frequencies gonna be directed to your ear, but also monitors sending low frequencies around themselves, and some low waveform gonna bounce the wall and gonna be in my ear as well. Companies who create those monitors, they kind of suppose that low end can be like exaggerated, because you're gonna hear low frequencies twice. Main problem with this thing, when it bounces from the wall and come into your ear, sometimes it can be out of phase. So you cannot predict, it all depends on distances, what exactly frequency is the problem, right? And it's really impossible to say if you're really gonna hear more low end. One waveform can go up, other one can go down, and they cancel each other just because of phase cancellation. Definitely can say it's not perfect technology. So there is really high chance that you're really not gonna hear those low frequencies correctly. This is what happened to me, I didn't notice lows. When I mix even without this thing, right, I have no problem, because I have more than 3,000 invested in my monitoring system, only in terms of monitors, not counting monitor mixer, acoustic treatment with soft wall behind. I have a great bass trap inside of the wall over there, so I have bass traps in corners and all this stuff. I kind of treated first reflection points. I have the same monitor but in black design. It stays just like far away from walls with no wall mode, so I check upper bass in this case, because from my experience a lot of like small rooms, like bedrooms, living rooms, or small studio rooms, especially with parallel walls, they usually have really a lot of problems in upper bass range between 100 and 200. So I use this monitor to check it. Secondly, I have Sub Woofer. It stays almost on the floor, but not really on the floor. I set up it really correctly. I found the right volume for it. I checked right crossover point. I use the right distance from me for the subwoofer, so definitely only after I engage all this stuff. In this case, I start to hear how crazy this low end is, and then I correct it and I make it right. So basically, what I measured for myself, this is how I process my bass, this sub-problematic bass. I'm not gonna talk about mids and highs now, it doesn't matter. In this case, as you can see, I use bell filter. I boosted 78 Hz by 2.2 decibels, because I felt like I didn't hear enough separation between kick and the bass. In spite of the fact I use sidechain compression to compensate volume of a bass when kick hits, you know, to have a little bit more space for the kick. Anyway, I felt like I need to boost a little bit different frequency on the bass, just to have like better separation, to put each instrument in the right frequency range. So I decided to do it. On white monitors it was great, but when I checked it with subwoofer, I realized this boost was totally awful, because my sub bass starts to be just crazy. So basically later I realized I don't need to boost these lows, so as you can see I canceled this boost. Also I decided to cut a little bit of low end, like 29-30 Hz, because most energy in this sub bass comes from 50 and 60 Hz. So I really don't need these frequencies lower. You know, so just to make it a little bit lighter, I just cut a little bit of low end. Over here on the right side, as you can see, fader in my DAW for this bass, minus 8.2 decibels. And it's like crazy loud bass in this case. So in the final, I came to the idea to have something around minus 13 and something. You know, it was like minus 13.2 or something like that. So it sounds, let's check it now against reference track.
My bed with gasoline. You think I wouldn't notice?
Our track.
Waves UAD, what you doing? My mixes are not for you to ruin. How many decibels to allow myself? She fills my bed with gasoline. You think I wouldn't notice? Waves UAD, what you doing? My mixes are not for you to ruin. How many decibels to allow myself? Serious lyrics came out, not to laugh about.
Right, so it sounds like much more appropriate. It doesn't have this kind of a boo, like humming low noise because of this sub bass. Just sounds like more open. It allows vocal to be like breathing. The problem is how you can do it without investing more than 3,000 in your monitors like I did, with all these different options, subwoofers and all this stuff. With this thing basically. So this thing compensates what your monitors don't show you. So basically what you do, you put this plugin on the master bus. As you can see, it's a new interface because it's new release. Nobody's seen it yet, so it's like exclusive thing, but it will be released, this update will be released pretty soon. So they improved measuring process, like much more points where they count what exactly happens with your monitors and rooms in different positions on this microphone. So it's really important. By the way, a lot of people forget that this microphone should be directed in the middle between your monitor. Some people just move it like this, but it should be moving like this. So it always should be directed to the middle point between monitors, so-called phantom center. Also, don't forget, this microphone also can have some frequency response, and they even compensate this one. You say which like serial number of this exact microphone, so they also gonna count what microphone does to your kind of monitor, so you're gonna compensate microphone as well, which is totally cool. Also, what about preamplifiers? As you can see right now, I use Neve 1073. Right, 1073 is really colorful preamplifier, especially if you push it hard. It's gonna give you compression and definitely a lot of coloration and frequency balance change. So for this purpose, it's better to use something like more neutral preamplifier. And for this purpose, I have really great SSL super analog preamp over here. So I use this one for my measuring. You save your profile. So let me show you my profile. So as you can see, it's called white monitors with acoustic treatment. First of all, notice what kind of crazy curve it is, right? And it's totally fine because a lot of monitors really imperfect. Do you think it really should be flat? Of course not. Just imagine the most known and the most classic monitors in the history, Yamaha NS10. Old version, right? From 70s. It's not flat at all, you know? It emphasizes different frequencies like boxiness around 1K. You definitely don't have information about like 60, 50. It just doesn't produce all low frequencies. But just because of you don't hear specific ranges, you're more concentrating on some other ranges which are emphasized. And because of that, you kind of clearly do something around those frequencies. So as you can see over here, my white monitors don't produce low frequencies, right? But I can hear those low frequencies with Sub Woofer. If you don't have Sub Woofer, this plugin just basically boosts those low frequencies and you're gonna hear like much more. So it's totally nice. So this plugin basically sees some boosts, some cuts, and it compensates. It applies some equalizer which boosts those gaps or cuts some already existing boosts. So that's it. So what I did, I remixed this project, not remembering any settings I changed using Sub Woofer. Later I checked two projects and I was blown away that I really guessed those numbers. It was minus 13 on fader with this thing as well, and I also decided not to boost low frequencies on my equalizer. Of course, don't expect it just shows you the same amount of details like real Sub Woofer or something like that, but for overall kind of feel like how much lows, mids and highs you need, it's really cool device. So I highly recommend Sonarworks Reference 4. You know, a lot of people believe like monitor sounds in one way. As you can see from my picture that even my two similar monitors don't sound the same. It's the same model. As you can see, one monitor has less bottom end. And actually, having pretty sensitive ears, I knew all this stuff about my monitors even before. All three DynAudio monitors sound a little bit different. My other pair of monitors also sounded different. Honestly, I have so many things to say about studio setup, and on my course we have studio setup topic. So deep topic, you know, really advanced one. All those guys who gonna attend my course gonna enjoy this topic anyway. Of course, we don't have too much time for it today, so I'm gonna try to shorten what I want to say. I'm gonna keep all these amazing tricks for the course due to really lack of time today. I do crazy tests, I'm really into audio, so basically I even try to mix different songs using just left monitor or just right monitor. And sometimes I find specific lack of monitors if even like they have benefit. For example, classic Yamaha NS10 doesn't show you too much low end, right? It's really imperfect monitor. It has some boost cuts, those famous 1K around 1K boosts which give you like boxiness and you kind of try to compensate it, and that's why your mixes can be sounding good. So I find it sometimes useful because, let's say with the left monitor which has less bottom end, I kind of more concentrated on boxiness. This monitor allows me to really hear this kind of 600, 500 boxiness if it's there. If it's no problem, if it's comparable to the reference track, nothing wrong with that. The right monitor I hear like more profound low end, so it smooth out everything, so I don't hear those boxiness that much. I kind of feel like more overall tone, which give me a little bit more information about like muddiness, you know, instead of boxiness, like more muddiness around like 200, 150, so it's really good one for these purposes. So sometimes I even, go like crazy person, like even kind of checking each monitor separately. And it definitely works, it's all about mixing, it's all about perfect. We never get perfect sound, right? But nobody prohibited to try. So we audio engineers, we're trying to find the best perfect sound. This thing is really awesome. It basically gives you this information about your lows. My monitors, for example, in this case, as you can see, have like more low mid boosts, those like more boxy frequencies. The question is why you need flat response, right? Let me show you. So I have this abstractive example. Just imagine you have monitors with 150 Hz boost, 150 boost. So your monitor just emphasize, these frequencies. It's not your fault, it's what your monitor do, right? Maybe it's your room, but let's say it's your monitor. You say, oh my god, it sounds boxy, it sounds boomy, let's cut this frequency. If your sound is really bad, this boost on your monitors really emphasizes this problem, and you say, oh my god, it's like too much, let's cut it by 2 dB. So you do -2 cut, right? And people gonna have, let's say, in their headphones or monitors 150 -3, just as an example. -3 dB. You're gonna have -2 plus -3 equals -5. It means they gonna hear like lack of 150. They gonna say, oh my god, this mix sounds like too thin. It doesn't have all this warmth, like really powerful, profound, low end. It sounds like more thin, more small, and people would say, your mix is not good, so you are a bad mixer. So that's why for this purpose, we kind of desire usually to have flat curve of your monitors. Why? Because let's say you don't have 150, you're not gonna hear this problem around 150 because of boost of your monitor. You're not gonna cut -2, and in their headphones it will be just 150 -3. Instead of -5. And people say, okay, it sounds okay, like any other song I listen to in these headphones. And people blindly believe like flat curve is always like better for all purposes. Actually, in my opinion, it's not always like that. And it's not only my opinion, a lot of professional audio engineers, that's why some people prefer to work on Yamaha NS10s, old versions. Those guys really appreciate some frequency boosted in these monitors, which like microscope. If you want to see some problem on your hand over here, you need to have a closer look. When you look at the person from 5 meters, of course you see the whole balance, but you don't see this little kind of problem. So sometimes having imperfect curves is even good thing. Who knows, maybe coincidentally your listener gonna have also 150 boost, right? And you cut it. And people would say, you know what, I like this mixer, because this mixer kind of make these mixes not so muddy. That's why a lot of people not agree on audio quality. Some people listen to some music in their monitoring system and saying, oh, I don't like this mix, it sounds really bad, like muddy, boomy, or something like that. And other people listen to the same mix and they say, you know what, it sounds really cool. I don't feel like it's boomy, but it has a lot of low end, which I like. And in those monitors, it just sounds right. It's pretty controversial, so you should be patient. Don't forget that sometimes some like theory just invented by people. It's not invented by nature. Right? Sometimes some like more alternative point of views can give you a little bit more kind of alternative vision, what exactly sometimes can be applied in your mixes. The conclusion is, don't need to say, okay, I'm a big fan of flat curve idea, or you can say, you know what, I like specific monitors with imperfect curve, which like give me some ideas about some specific frequencies. Actually, you can use both theories at the same time. This is what I found and invented for myself, and I absolutely appreciate this approach. Basically, you can have this thing, basically you activate this plugin, and you can check overall kind of tone. And sometimes if you want like to have like alternative mix, you just turn it off, this plugin, and you just use your typical monitors or headphones. No guarantees, but maybe it can give you some information. Sometimes a little bit more precise details. And in my case, actually, I experienced this thing. As I said, my review is totally honest, right? So let me tell you where it happened. This is what I did with my vocal with EQ. Listen to the reference track, listen to the vocal, and ask yourself how this vocal sounds. If it sounds transparent, if it sounds like open, muddy, what is it? What's going on with the vocal?
She fills my bed with gasoline. You think I wouldn't notice?
Ask yourself if you experience right now my vocal muddier. So I turned off this equalizer, which was applied for muddiness correction, and listen to my vocal, if it sounds muddier.
Waves, you ready, what you doing? My mixes are not for you to ruin. How many decibels to allow myself?
You know, like more like muffled sound, right? Comparing to Santa Monica. When I don't use reference plugin on my monitors, because they really show me all these mid details, because it's really cool monitors for mid details, I really hear that Santa Monica vocal sounds much less muddy. So it sounds not muddy, while my vocal sounds muddy. So again, Santa Monica.
She fills my bed with gasoline.
My vocal.
Waves, you ready, what you doing? My mixes are not for you to ruin.
Right, so in my monitors I clearly hear like my vocal sounds muddier. If I apply this equalizer, I gonna fix this problem and my vocal will be sounding more open, more present and less muddy in this case. So again, reference track, so I engaged equalizer on my vocal. Equalizer shows something but it's still my vocal, this equalizer doesn't do anything to the reference track.
She fills my bed with gasoline. You think I wouldn't notice?
And my vocal.
Waves, you ready, what you doing? My mixes are not for you to ruin. How many decibels to allow myself? Seriously, lyrics came out, not to laugh about.
And it instantly sounds more open, more present, less this kind of a... Instead of this kind of muffled tone, it sounds like much more open. And I hear it in my monitor. I don't hear it in this thing, you know? So when I use Reference 4 plugin, I really can't recognize those problems. By the way, it's for you also really important and really helpful, I'd say. Those of you who check this test right now, definitely in this case I can tell you if your monitoring system shows you boxiness and muddiness or not. So if you heard, like I improved my vocal to make it less muffled, it means your monitors really show you boxiness and muddiness. If you really didn't hear any difference, like first, without EQ my vocal sounded with the same kind of difference to Santa Monica song, and in the second example, when I engaged equalizer, if it also sounded for you like the same distance between Santa Monica vocal and my vocal, it just means that your headphones or monitors just don't show you any boxiness and muddiness information. That's it. So I'd say it's sometimes cool to turn it off, you know, just to check some benefits what your original monitoring system gives you. But honestly, if I just had my original white monitors and nothing else, honestly, I would never have recognized my problem with those low sub frequencies of my sub bass, and my mix would be considered by somebody who would check my mix using subwoofers. They would say, oh my god, this guy doesn't know what to do with low frequencies, it's just really bad mix. And only this thing in this case will be the answer. In my case, answer can be this thing or subwoofer and like other type of monitors I have for these purposes. Right, so for me it's great. Basically speaking, you can ask me, okay, what's the point for you to have this thing if you have subwoofers, monitors, if you say like it shows you all information, so what's the point to have this thing? And my main idea of mixing to be mastering engineer. So mastering, great mastering is when mastering engineer check your mix not just using one pair of monitor. The purpose of mastering engineer is to check your mixes on many different monitoring systems, in different headphones. I also work as a mastering engineer, and basically I check mixes in my car basically, and it's cool practice because it's another alternative type of sound. So I really appreciate, let's say, speakers of my car for mastering purposes. So that's why I still want to have it. I want, even for myself, I want to keep this thing, this plugin, and I want to use it even though I have subwoofer and speakers. Why? Because it gives me alternative mix. The more sources you use to check your mix, the better, because who knows, my subwoofer, my monitors give me like right idea, but can give me like one kind of thing what I couldn't find in this thing, but at the same time I can find some nuance in this thing, you know, not hearing it in this subwoofer, you know. So that's why I still want to keep it. It's really nice thing. Just imagine that this plugin works with headphones, and you don't need to measure, and you don't even need to have microphone. Let's say if you're on a budget, and just imagine you have just headphones for $200. You just can go with this plugin to correct your headphones, and again you can use your headphones with this plugin and without. I mean, nobody forces you to decide just to use headphones or just to use headphones with this plugin. You can go in two ways. In this case, it will be more information for you and you're gonna do better mixes. For example, I have 3 pair of headphones. I have Sennheiser HD800, like $1,200 headphones, crazy expensive headphones HD800. They didn't guess right with the plastic material and it just cracks after some period of time. At the same time, I have Sennheiser $100 headphones and that cable survived like after 10 years. But anyway, it's pretty interesting headphones. For example, they also don't give you this low-end information. As you can see, I loaded over here Sennheiser HD800 average curve. What I like in this title, this company says average. Average is really true word because every piece of gear sounds different. And I even checked my headphones chart, you know, my frequency response, and it's definitely not totally like this curve. But it's not far away, you know, it's pretty close to reality, what this company specified. So I really believe in this curve, you know, and basically, as you can see, it doesn't show me too much low frequencies. So I really don't hear this kind of sub problem in this project like we showed 10 minutes ago. It has really emphasized high frequencies and 7K, so you're gonna hear more sibilances from vocal. If you have some problems with sibilances, you're gonna hear it in these headphones, and you're gonna hear like more annoying hi-hats if it sounds annoying. After you apply this plugin on your headphones, you're gonna hear much smoother highs and much more low end, which allow you to control lows. But if you disengage this plugin working in these headphones, it's gonna give you idea of harshness of your hi-hats. And honestly, I even found it really interesting in this particular project, because my hi-hat in this case, as you can see, have bell cut around 12K and bell cut around like 6.5, or here on a green band on SSL EQ from Universal Audio, Black Knob EQ, right? So I cut a little bit here and a little bit here. Why? Because I hear those annoying highs comparing to reference track exactly in these headphones. With Reference 4 plugin, for me everything sounds pretty smooth. But at the same time, just without this thing, just using headphones, I would never recognize problem with lows. So definitely it's really cool thing to combine, let's say, just one pair of headphones and with this thing. And I checked AKG 271 for this purpose, and it also works great. It also works great, they really nailed it, so it's really nice. And bonus thing for you, don't forget that this equalizer should do a lot of movements. It can boost some specific frequencies, pretty narrow, pretty wide. Being mastering engineer, I know, to have like really natural tone and not to change your tone too much. Master equalizer is really bad thing, honestly, because it really can change the whole thing for your mix. If your mix more or less great, sometimes master equalizer can really shift your phase, it really can make like less details for your mix, it can wash out your tone. And that's why in mastering usually the best equalizers, really long story, but simply speaking, usually it's recommended to use really kind of wide band curves on equalizers, because otherwise you're gonna have like a lot of phase shifts. All these kind of really aggressive EQ curves, really narrow curves can really change your tone too much. And in the final, your mix sounds like more washed out, you know, like. So this is what sometimes can happen with this plugin if you really kind of desire to have like all these little details. You hear it less with this plugin. But it's not a problem with this plugin, it's just nature of equalizers. So I recommend to check it out second mode of this plugin, linear phase mode. Linear phase mode gonna try to preserve all these kind of phase shifts. Of course, you're not gonna have like zero latency for real-time control. Sometimes I find it's cool way to go with linear equalizer mode. Even like having all this monitoring system, I still would love to have this Reference 4. Just imagine how it can be working for a guy just with one pair of headphones and nothing else. So great work, nice plugin. These 2 minutes can change the whole audio thing for you forever. So check it out. 80% of this course is about mixing and mastering, editing, but also we have music writing, sound design, recording, amplifiers, preamplifiers, microphones, recording techniques, even music writing and arrangement, and post-production, because I'm a professional broadcast engineer, radio producer for many years, working for the biggest company in that region where I'm from. This course is known for my ability to teach and really top quality information and tricks and techniques, great approach, great philosophy of mixing. But The most important is homework checking. Most schools don't allow you to choose your own projects to work on them. Teachers never check your homeworks, like checking different songs. Usually they prepare some song, they mix it, and then they show you how to do that. And when you start to get into your own projects, you see that you really don't know what to do. You know, you do a lot of mistakes, your tracks still don't sound like reference tracks. And in our case, when I check your homeworks, I do it naturally. I do it in real time. So I never check your projects before the class, and today I'm not gonna check this project before this video. So you're gonna see natural way how I check problems, how I make decisions, how I kind of struggle and fighting with something, but finally I get the best possible results. And I challenge myself even more because I always compare your project with the top sounding song ever, mixed by somebody from top 20 audio engineers. And you're on the safe side because you pay monthly, so you don't have any risk to lose your money. So it's great course, check it out. And on the screen right now you see reviews from my only 1 year of my students. I teach in a couple of languages. It's reviews from English speaking guys. We have many of them from really different countries. I'm even providing free trial class, so you can send me a message. I'm gonna specify nuances. If it works for you, you add me in Skype and you attend one class for free to check how it works. Thanks guys for watching, I appreciate your feedback, so please put a comment in the comment section, check other videos from the description box, first one especially, check my course because it can change everything for you in audio. See you next time, have a good mixes.